Welcome to Using Google Tools to Support the Engineering Design Process. My name is Nick Keith. I'm a blended learning specialist. You can find me on Twitter at nkeithblend or visit my blog at texasedtech.blogspot.com. In today's training, we're going to talk about what G Suite is, those Google tools that we'll use to support the engineering design process, go through the engineering design process, look at how you would experience a design challenge using Google tools, and then plan a design challenge in order to receive credit for viewing this webinar. So let's start here. What is G Suite? Google has a powerful set of tools that can be used by educational institutions called G Suite EDU, and they all center around Google Drive. Google Drive is cloud-based storage that you can access from any device anywhere you have an internet connection. Connected to Google Drive are tools like Google Docs, which is the Google version of Microsoft Word, except that you can collaborate with others in the same document. There's also Google Sheets, which is similar to Excel. It's perfect for gathering data, and again, you can work with other collaborators. There's Google Slides, which is similar to Microsoft PowerPoint. Google Forms, which allows you to create surveys and quizzes and collect data. And it's all held together by Google Classroom. Google Classroom lets you share files and digital resources with your students, like you'll see in the example today. In this webinar, we're going to look at how these tools support the EDP, or the engineering design process. So the engineering design process is just a method of thinking through problems that we want our students to use, especially in STEM districts and campuses. So each engineering design process follows essentially the same steps. You begin by identifying the problem, then you brainstorm solutions, you select a design from your brainstormed list, you build a model or a prototype, you go through a cycle of testing and evaluation, and then optimizing your design and re-prototyping as many times as necessary, and then you share your solution. So the question is, how can we use Google tools to support this process? We can use Google Docs to help students identify the problem, brainstorm solutions, and select a design. After students have built their prototype, they can use Google Sheets to gather data, to test and evaluate, and optimize their design. Once they're finished, they can use Google Slides to share their solution, and then you as the teacher can use Google Forms to assess their understanding and gather reflections from your students. Today, we're going to be looking at a design challenge where students would build a paper airplane that can fly the farthest possible distance using only the materials provided. This is just an example design challenge, and I'll give you links to more design challenges you can use with your students at the end of the webinar. So to get started, I'm here in Google Classroom. Google Classroom is available to you if your district is a G Suite for Education district. It's free for your district to sign up, so if you don't have it, I'd encourage you to talk to your technology folks about becoming a G Suite district. So I've created a Google Classroom here, which I would have my students join. And I've created an assignment called Airplane Design. So I'm going to open this assignment, and these are all of the Google tools that we're going to use in this design challenge. So let's start here with a Google Doc on designing the world's most awesome paper airplane. So what I've done is I've created a template in Google Docs, and I've given each student a copy using Google Classroom. When students are working in groups to solve this problem, one member of their group can click Share in the top right-hand corner, and then they can type in the email addresses of the other students that they want to share with here. Then those students can join this document, and students can collaborate and brainstorm together. So our first step in the engineering design process is making sure that we've properly identified the problem. In this case, students are trying to build a paper airplane that can fly the farthest possible distance using only the materials provided. It's helpful to use docs in this situation to make sure students have a clear understanding of the problem they're trying to solve and the constraints that are going to be on their final design. In this instance, they can only use the materials that are provided by you, the teacher. So now students have identified the problem. So the next step is going to be to brainstorm a list of ideas for the design of their plane. This is where students will work together and activate their prior knowledge with everything they know about paper airplane design. So you can give students as long as they need to brainstorm a list of what they might do when they design their plane. So this group of students came up with these 5 ideas with what they already know about paper airplanes. So we've identified the problem, we've brainstormed a list of ideas. Now it's time to explore and then select a design for our plane. One of the most powerful features of Google Docs is the Explore feature. The Explore feature lets you search for images and websites all from within Google Docs. You never have to leave this page. To open the Explore feature, go down to the lower right-hand corner and click on Explore. You can see here Google already has some suggestions for you, or you can type in your own search topic here at the top. You can search the web, you can search images, or you can search your Google Drive. For this, I'm going to search images. And students can start to pull in examples of how they might want to design their plane. So if you look here, I have an example of how to fold a paper airplane. And this is where they're just collecting ideas for their design. And later, they'll choose which one they want to use. So let's look at where we are so far in the engineering design process. We've used Google Docs to identify the problem, brainstorm solutions, and then students can select a design from the resources that they've collected. The next step will be to build their model or their prototype. In this case, they're just going to build their paper airplane. So once that's done, they're ready to test and evaluate. I'm back in Google Classroom now, and I've shared this Google Sheet with my class. So students are going to open this, and I've created one spreadsheet that every group is going to work into. In this spreadsheet, students will fly their paper airplanes and then record the distance of their attempts. So we'll let a few groups fly, gather some data, and then come back to this sheet. So now we've had 3 groups fly, and they've flown 3 different times. Between each attempt, you want to encourage your students to make some changes to the design of their plane and see if it optimizes it and makes it fly further. I've added some conditional formatting here, where the cell will turn green if this attempt was greater than this attempt, or it will turn red if this attempt was less than the first attempt. Then students can find the average by using the average function in Sheets. They just simply type equals average, then parentheses. They highlight the cells they want to average, and then close parentheses. Hit enter, and there's the average of their 3 attempts. So going back to our engineering design process, we identified the problem, brainstormed solutions, and selected a design. They built their paper airplane model. Now they've tested and evaluated, and they used their data in Sheets to optimize their design. Now it's time for students to share what they discovered during the engineering design process. Back in Google Classroom, I've shared a copy of a slides presentation with students for them to share their reflections. So all students are working into the same slide presentation, so we have one record of every student's success during this design challenge. This first slide has directions. They're going to take a picture of their airplane, add their flight distance data, answer a reflection question, and then give us a takeaway from their challenge. So if you look at the first slide here, which is an example, they've taken a picture, their flight data is here. They discussed what changes they made between flight attempts, and then one takeaway. For students to insert an image into slides, they just go to Insert, Image, and then select Take a Snapshot, and it will ask them to allow their webcam, and they can take a picture of whatever they've created during the engineering design process. Once they're finished, and students have all added their information, all you have to do is click Present, and then you can have each student group share what they learned during the engineering design challenge. Okay, so students have identified the problem, brainstormed solutions, and selected a design. They built their model or prototype, they tested and evaluated and optimized, and they shared their solution using Google Slides. The last step for you as a teacher is to use Google Forms for their assessment and reflection. I've created a Google form that I've shared with my students in Google Classroom. And it has these 3 questions. So they'll answer each of these and then click Submit. Now, after students have submitted, I'm going to go in as the teacher in this classroom. And this is the assignment that I gave them. And I'll click here to view their responses in Google Sheets. So these are all of my student responses and the answer to each of their questions. So I can go through, do a quick assessment, and see anything that I need to reteach, or if we're ready to move on after this engineering design challenge. So let's review. We identified the problem, brainstormed solutions, and selected a paper airplane design, all using Google Docs. We built a prototype of our paper airplane, and then we tested and evaluated it and optimized it. We made changes between attempts, and then we shared our solution using Google Slides. At the end, as a teacher, I used Google Forms for assessment and reflection. So now, it's your turn. To receive credit for this webinar, you're going to do 2 things. First, you're going to select an engineering design challenge and just give a brief description of how you would use docs, sheets, slides, and forms to support students as they work through that design challenge. To do that, I've provided a template for you that you're going to fill out and submit. You'll need to have a Google account, and then you'll follow the link tinyurl.com/edpplanning to get the template. So you'll go to tinyurl.com/edpplanning, and it's going to ask you to make a copy of this Google Docs template. Click Make a Copy. Now, a copy of this doc has been added to your Google Drive. These links will take you to collections of engineering design challenges you can use in your classroom. So if I click on a link and open it, this is a collection of elementary STEM design activities. A lot of them are linked to literature. This is a collection of engineering design challenges from PBS Kids, the show Design Squad. And you can look through the rest of these to see what's available. Choose one design challenge, give the name of the design challenge that you chose, and the objective of the design challenge. Then you're going to explain in 1 or 2 sentences how you would use Google Docs to support the design challenge, how you would use Google Sheets, Google Slides, and then Google Forms. Once that's completed, then you're going to submit your link to your planning template through a form. So next you'll follow this link, tinyurl.com/edtexwebinars. So let's go to tinyurl.com/edtexwebinars. And then click on the link for this webinar using Google Tools to support the engineering design process. Here you're going to fill in your name and your email address. You'll answer 4 short questions. And then here you're going to paste a link to your planning template. So I'm going to go back to my planning template. I'm going to click Share, Get Shareable Link, and then I'm going to make sure this is set to anyone with the link can view, and click Copy Link. Go back to the Google form and paste the link here, and then click Submit. Once that's submitted, then I'll be able to view your planning template, and you'll receive an email notification that you've received credit for viewing this webinar. So this has been using Google Tools to support the engineering design process. I'm Nick Keith. You can find me on Twitter @nkeithblend, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all.